This is Mexico, the 10th largest country in the world with a population of 130 million. Mexico is one of the most important countries of the 21st century, and the reason for this is its location and history. To the north of Mexico is America, to the south and west is the Pacific Ocean, to the southeast is Guatemala, Belize, and the Caribbean Sea, whereas on the eastern side is the Gulf of Mexico. Mexico has been a bastion of different culture and civilization for thousands of years. You might be surprised to know that the world's largest pyramid is not in Egypt, but in the Mexican state of Puebla, which is called the Pyramid of Cholula. Before the arrival of Europeans, there were many cultures and civilizations here. The Olmecs were the first to inhabit this place, then the Mayans came here around 200 AD, and ruled Central and South America for about 700 years. Mayan civilizations were the most advanced civilizations of their time, whose disappearance even today is no less than a mystery. His knowledge of mathematics, agriculture, and astronomy was unbelievable at that time. But then around 950 AD these civilizations mysteriously ended. Then in the 10th and 11th centuries came the Toltecs, and then after them the Aztecs settled here in the 13th century. And then they continued to rule central Mexico until the Europeans arrived in the 14th century. One thing has remained common in these thousands of years, and that is the pattern of people's living. Even today, around 60% of Mexico's population lives in this thin strip, which constitutes only 18% of the total land area of Mexico. This means that the remaining 82% of Mexico is completely empty. But why is it so? Why have humans lived in this small area in Mexico for thousands of years? And another very important question is what is going to happen in the future, which can make Mexico an economic giant? Let us know. Answers to both these questions are in today's video. Why do people in Mexico live only in this small area? A major reason for this is Mexico's geography. Only 13% of Mexico's land is suitable for agriculture. This entire area in the north of Mexico has dry and hot desert, where farming and growing grains is almost impossible. Similarly, this entire area in the south of Mexico has dense forests, where it rains a lot. It is very difficult to build infrastructure here, because to build roads or buildings you need dry concrete. But there is so much rain here that it is practically impossible. And that is why there are only 8 paved roads on this 1,100 kilometers long southern borders of Mexico, which connects Mexico to Central America. And similarly, if we come a little further south, there is not a single road between Panama and Colombia, which will connect these two parts of America. And on top of all these geographical complications, almost 70% of Mexico is covered by mountains. And these mountains have created very unfavorable conditions for Mexico. The biggest disadvantage is that building infrastructure by cutting these mountains is a very difficult and expensive task. And that's why this central part of Mexico is where people live. It is cut off from the rest of Mexico because of these mountain ranges. This is the reason why it is very difficult for the even government to control and monitor this entire area. So it is very difficult for the police to monitor this entire area from Guatemala and Belize to the northern border of Mexico. And that is why smuggling of drugs and weapons is very common from here. On one hand, these drugs are smuggled from southern Mexico to central Mexico, and then from here these drugs and weapons are smuggled through the northern border to America, now here because there is desert and high mountains. So because of this, it is a very difficult task for the police to stop this smuggling. One reason for the high population in central Mexico is that this land is the most fertile in the whole of Mexico. This entire area is full of volcanoes, and that's why corn, a very important grain, was historically first grown here. This area is ideal for agriculture and irrigation, and that is why all the civilizations used to reside here for thousands of years. Similarly, the most important city for Mexico's economy is Veracruz. Veracruz is a coastal city on Mexico's eastern border. 35% of the entire Mexico's water supply comes from here. This is the point from where Spanish, American, and French armies entered Mexico in the 16th and 19th centuries, and captured its capital Mexico City. There is a huge mountain range around Mexico City, which gives it protection from external attacks. But these mountains are also a big obstacle in protecting Mexico's coastal line. That is why before the 20th century, Mexico was very vulnerable to external forces. Then in 1873, a railway track was laid with great difficulty over a distance of 200 miles from Veracruz to Mexico City. And at the same time, approximately 50,000 miles of railroad network had been laid in Mexico's neighboring United States. Because the geography of America was very flat and even compared to Mexico, and because of this infrastructure development, America went far ahead of Mexico. So these geographical complications of Mexico are a big reason of this population pattern of Mexico and of Mexico lagging behind North America. But in the last few years, a tremendous transformation has taken place in Mexico. 17 gas pipelines have been laid from America to Mexico between 2010 and 2023. And most of the gas has been transported to manufacturing plants installed on the US-Mexico border, which has two benefits. Firstly, due to cheap gas, Mexico's manufacturing industry has got a big boost, and secondly, due to cheap labor, the overall production cost has reduced significantly, and taking advantage of this opportunity, many international companies are now shifting their manufacturing to Mexico. Nissan today manufactures many more vehicles in Mexico than in its home country Japan. Mexico is today the fifth largest automobile exporting country in the world. Similarly, in 2019, Mexico became the largest trading partner of the United States, leaving behind Canada and China. Experts are predicting that, if Mexico's manufacturing industry continues to grow at this pace, so in the next 20 years Mexico will become the seventh largest economy in the world. And as Mexico's manufacturing industry expands, similarly, the population pattern of Mexico will also change. Many people will leave this central area and start settling on the northern border, because many factories are being set up in this area, and because of being right on the border, there will be no additional tax in America on the products coming out of these factories. It seems that Mexicans has now decided to find a solution to its bad geography, and when a nation collectively takes such a decision, then no one can stop it from moving forward. So friends, today's video end here. I hope you got some information from this video.